Welcome, dear listener. Tonight, as you settle into the quiet of your room, take a deep breath and let your thoughts drift upward to the endless sky above. Imagine the soft stretch of blue touched with whispers of clouds, the faint brush of sunlight on the horizon. You are about to embark on a journey, a gentle exploration of the invisible forces that dance above us every day, shaping the weather that caresses your skin, cools your evenings, or brings the soothing rhythm of rain. The sky is not empty. It is alive, moving in ways we often take for granted. Each gust of wind, each puff of cloud, each drop of rain is part of a delicate story that the atmosphere tells if we only pause long enough to listen. Take another slow breath and imagine the air around you not as something still, but as a living, breathing ocean. The atmosphere is a vast sea of gases stretching miles above the Earth, carrying heat, moisture, and energy. It moves quietly, almost imperceptibly, shifting with the warmth of the sun, with the cool touch of night. In this gentle motion, there are currents, rivers of air that flow around the globe. Some rise slowly, warmed by the land below. Some descend softly, cooled by the night. These movements create whispers of wind, tiny pressures that can grow into gusts, breezes, or storms. Everything is connected, a rhythm of give and take, like the quiet pulse of your own heartbeat reflected in the sky. Now, imagine the invisible water above you, dancing in the air as vapor. It rises from oceans, lakes, rivers, and even the soil beneath your feet. Warm air lifts it gently upward, carrying it higher and higher until it cools and gathers, forming delicate clouds. These clouds are not just shapes in the sky. They're travelers, carrying moisture and energy, ready to release their gift to the earth below as rain, snow, or dew. Every drop of water in the sky has a story. Some have traveled for thousands of miles. Some have been part of clouds before you were born. As they fall, they touch the world with soft rhythms, shaping rivers, feeding forests, and quenching the land's thirst. And yet, the journey never truly ends. The water will rise again, carried by the air, continuing the endless cycle of life above and below. Have you ever wondered why some clouds float lazily while others roar with storms? Or why the same sky can be bright and serene one moment and heavy with rain the next? These are not accidents. They are secrets of the atmosphere, waiting for us to explore. Now, imagine the sun as a slow, patient artist painting warmth across the surface of the earth. Its light does not merely shine. It touches the soil, the rivers, the forests, and even the air itself, filling each molecule with energy. Some places bask in this warmth for hours, while others receive only a fleeting caress. The warmth awakens the air, causing it to rise, to stretch, and to sway. This simple, almost imperceptible rise and fall of air is the quiet engine behind much of the weather we feel. As the air moves, it carries with it the memory of the places it has touched. Warm air rises in gentle columns, lifting water vapor into the sky, while cooler air sinks, flowing slowly into the spaces left behind. The dance between warm and cold creates invisible boundaries called fronts, where air masses meet. Some meet softly, whispering past each other like old friends, while others collide with sudden drama, sparking storms and winds that shake the branches and rattle the windows. Temperature is more than just heat. It is a storyteller. It tells the tale of day and night, of seasons, of distant oceans and deserts. It shapes the winds, the clouds, and even the patterns of rain. And yet all this motion occurs quietly, almost unnoticed, until we take the time to pause, to listen, and to feel the subtle pulse of the atmosphere around us. Now, let us travel deeper into the invisible layers of the sky, to the unseen weight that surrounds us, the air itself. You do not notice it pressing gently against your skin, but it is always there. Air pressure is the quiet hand that guides the clouds, the wind, and the rain. In some places, it rises softly, holding the sky like a gentle ceiling. In others, it falls, drawing air downward and stirring motion in ways that can create storms or calm, sunlit days. Imagine a soft, invisible hand pressing on your shoulders, sometimes gently, sometimes with more insistence. This is how the atmosphere moves, nudging air, lifting it, pushing it sideways, shaping the weather that drifts above our heads. High pressure brings stillness, a sense of calm and clarity, while low pressure invites motion, change, and sometimes chaos. It is the invisible rhythm, the quiet heartbeat of the sky, that orchestrates the symphony of weather. And yet, even as we study it, even as we measure it and predict it, the air remains mysterious. It flows over mountains, through valleys, and across oceans, sometimes in patterns we recognize, sometimes in ways that surprise us. The pressure tells a story of movement, of balance, and of endless change, a story that continues whether we notice it or not. Now, let your eyes drift upward to the clouds. Notice their shapes, their colors, their slow, floating movements. Clouds are more than mere collections of water and ice. They are the sky's sculptures, molded by temperature, pressure, and wind. Each one tells a story of the air that carries it, of the warmth that lifted it, and the moisture that formed it. Some clouds are thin and wispy, like soft brushstrokes across a canvas. Others gather in thick, rolling masses, heavy with water, ready to release their secrets to the world below. The process of cloud formation is a delicate ballet. Warm, moist air rises, cooling as it climbs higher into the sky. Tiny droplets gather, invisible at first, until they coalesce into clouds, drifting slowly with the currents of air. Their shapes are constantly changing, influenced by invisible currents, by unseen winds that twist and stretch them. Sometimes they grow dark and brooding, pregnant with rain. Sometimes they shine in sunlight, reflecting gold, pink, or purple at dawn and dusk. And every cloud is part of a larger rhythm, the eternal cycle of evaporation, condensation, and precipitation. They carry water from oceans to mountains, from lakes to forests, nurturing life in quiet, unseen ways. As you watch them, you might notice the subtle stories they tell, the gentle sighs of the atmosphere, the whispers of distant storms, the soft rhythm of rainfall yet to come. Have you ever wondered why clouds sometimes drift lazily for hours and at other times gather quickly, darkening the sky in minutes? Or how the same wind can carry gentle breezes to one place while driving storms to another? These are not random events. They are whispers of the forces that move our world, waiting for you to listen carefully. Now, imagine the air moving around you, flowing softly over hills and valleys, across oceans and deserts. These flows are the winds, the quiet, invisible rivers of the sky. Some winds drift lazily, like the gentle exhale of a sleeping world. Others rush with sudden intensity, gathering energy from warm lands or cooling seas, moving with purpose across the globe. The origin of these winds is a subtle conversation between temperature and pressure. Warm air rises, leaving behind spaces that cooler air eagerly fills. The difference in pressure pulls and pushes, nudges and guides, creating currents that travel for hundreds, even thousands of miles. These invisible rivers carry more than air. They carry whispers of distant lands, the scent of forests, the salt of the ocean, and the chill of mountain snow. Some winds are familiar companions, brushing softly against your face, rustling the leaves, reminding you of the world's quiet heartbeat. Others are more dramatic, shaping clouds, lifting waves, and sculpting sand dunes over centuries. And yet, whether gentle or fierce, every wind is a storyteller, a messenger of the vast energy moving above the earth. Have you ever noticed how the wind can change suddenly, carrying warmth from a distant desert or chill from the polar ice? The winds are more than movement. They are the sky's memory, remembering and traveling through time and space in ways we rarely imagine. As the winds dance and the clouds gather, sometimes the sky prepares a more dramatic spectacle, a storm. But storms are not sudden outbursts. They are carefully composed symphonies of temperature, pressure, moisture, and motion. Imagine the earth and sky as dancers in a slow, intricate ballet. Warm air rises, cold air sinks, moisture gathers, and currents twist together, creating swirls and eddies that grow into thunderstorms, snowstorms, or gentle rain showers. Within a storm, the air is alive with energy. Lightning flickers as the atmosphere balances charges, thunder echoes the tension released, and raindrops descend in rhythmic patterns like soft drums marking the storm's pulse. Each storm is unique, a momentary but powerful expression of the atmosphere's invisible forces, reminding us of the enormous energy quietly circulating above our heads. Have you ever noticed how the wind can change suddenly, carrying warmth from a distant desert or chill from the polar ice? The winds are more than movement. They are the sky's memory, remembering and traveling through time and space in ways we rarely imagine. And finally, let us drift into the gentle rhythm of rain, the soft, soothing touch of the sky's gift. Rain begins as invisible water vapor, lifted by warmth and carried by winds into the cooler heights of the atmosphere. There, it condenses into droplets, gathering until they are heavy enough to fall. But each drop has a journey before it touches the ground. Some drift softly, brushing against leaves, rivers, and rooftops. Others cascade in sheets, tumbling from the clouds with a quiet roar. Rain connects the earth and sky in a timeless cycle. It nourishes rivers, feeds lakes, and seeps into the soil to awaken hidden seeds. It forms puddles where children might play, glistens on petals, and reflects sunlight in tiny dancing prisms. And once it reaches the ground, it will one day arise again, carried by the warmth of the sun, joining the vaporous journey once more. Rain is more than water. It is memory, movement, and life itself. Every storm, every drizzle, every soft mist carries the story of the air that lifted it, the clouds that cradled it, and the land that it nourishes. In this quiet, endless cycle, we can see the gentle pulse of the world, the rhythm that continues day and night, unseen but always felt. Have you ever wondered how the same drop of rain can travel thousands of miles, touching forests, rivers, and cities, yet always remain part of the sky's eternal story? Or how the pattern of rainfall shapes not just the land, but the life that inhabits it? These are the secrets of the weather, patiently waiting for those who care to notice. Now let your thoughts drift to colder skies, where the air carries a crispness that whispers of winter. In these realms, water transforms into delicate crystals, each one unique, each one a tiny masterpiece. Snowflakes are not mere frozen droplets, they are miniature sculptures formed in the quiet lofts of clouds, shaped by temperature, humidity, and the invisible currents that swirl above the earth. Picture a single snowflake falling slowly, spinning and twirling, catching the faint light of the sun or the soft glow of the moon. It drifts downward, brushing against others, forming blankets of white over the land. Snow is the earth's quiet shroud, softening sound, cushioning paths, and reflecting light in ways that make the world feel almost magical. And yet, snow is not still. It participates in the same cycles as rain.
It melts, nourishes rivers, seeps into the soil, and rises again as vapor, joining the eternal dance of water and air. In every flake, we can glimpse the sky's artistry and the quiet precision of nature's rhythms, a reminder that even in stillness, the world is alive and in motion. Have you ever wondered why no two snowflakes are exactly alike, yet each follows the same delicate rules of formation? Or how the clouds know when to release snow instead of rain? The answers lie in the invisible choreography of temperature, pressure, and motion, a subtle performance happening above us every winter. Now imagine a morning when the world seems to hold its breath, when soft, pale mist rises from the ground and drapes over the hills and valleys. This is fog, the earth exhaling quietly, carrying moisture from rivers, lakes, and soil into the cool air. It moves slowly, often unnoticed, transforming the familiar into the mysterious, the ordinary into a soft, ethereal landscape. Fog is created when warm, moist air meets cooler surfaces. Tiny droplets condense, hanging suspended, forming a veil that diffuses light, softens shapes, and makes the world appear like a painting brushed with subtle grays and whites. Walking through fog is like stepping into a dream. The sounds are muted, the air feels thick with possibility, and every movement becomes a gentle exploration of the unseen.
Like clouds and snow, fog is part of the water cycle. It nourishes plants, seeps into soil, and often heralds the coming weather. It is quiet yet powerful, delicate yet persistent, a reminder that even the most subtle aspects of the atmosphere carry energy and intention. In every foggy morning, the earth is breathing, quietly connecting sky and land in a tender embrace. Have you ever noticed how fog sometimes rolls in from distant valleys or rivers, yet dissipates as the sun rises? Or how it can linger, softening the world, yet vanish in minutes as temperatures shift? These gentle mysteries are part of the atmosphere's secret language. Return once more to the clouds, but now imagine them with a deeper awareness, noticing the infinite variety and the quiet artistry that shapes each formation. Clouds can be wispy cirrus, like brushstrokes across a vast canvas, or towering cumulonimbus, reaching skyward with drama and energy, or soft, rolling stratus, draping the sky in gentle layers. Each form is a reflection of the forces that create it, the rise and fall of air, the pressure that molds it, the moisture that gathers and releases. Clouds are not merely observers of the world, they are participants. They carry water across continents, shade the land from harsh sunlight, reflect warmth and coolness, and signal weather yet to come. Watching clouds is like listening to a quiet conversation of the atmosphere, a dialogue that spans miles and hours, connecting distant mountains, oceans, and valleys in one continuous story. And every cloud has a memory. It remembers where it came from, what it carried, and where it has yet to go. When rain falls from its belly, when snowflakes drift downward, or when fog emerges from its gentle embrace, the cloud's story continues, weaving the sky and the earth into a single, connected tapestry. Have you ever wondered how clouds know when to form, what shapes to take, and when to release their moisture? Or why the sky can display calm clouds one moment and storm-laden giants the next? The answers lie in the subtle, invisible forces guiding every droplet, every swirl, every breath of the air around us. Now, let us turn our gaze toward one of the most enchanting spectacles the sky offers, the rainbow. Picture a storm clearing, raindrops still hanging in the air, when suddenly sunlight pierces through, bending and scattering into colors. A rainbow is more than a simple arc of beauty. It is the sky revealing its hidden spectrum, a reminder that even the fiercest storm can leave behind light and wonder. Each raindrop is a tiny lens, bending sunlight in just the right way, splitting it into red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, and violet. Millions of droplets together create the bow of colors we see, yet the rainbow is never in one fixed place. It exists in the relationship between you, the raindrops, and the sun. In that sense, every rainbow is unique, painted only for those who happen to be in the right place at the right time. Rainbows are not just visual marvels, they're gentle lessons in light and perception. They remind us that even the simplest elements, water and sunlight, hold secrets beyond our immediate senses. And sometimes, when conditions align, double rainbows appear, faint echoes of the first, carrying their own quiet magic. Have you ever noticed how a rainbow seems to move as you move, or how you can never quite reach its end? Or wondered why rainbows appear only when the sun is behind you and rain before you? The answers lie in the delicate physics of light and water, unfolding silently in the sky. Storms may seem chaotic, wild expressions of the atmosphere's fury, but within their power lies order, rhythm, and design. Imagine standing beneath a gathering thundercloud, dark, heavy, layered with shifting textures. To the eye, it appears unpredictable, yet every gust of wind, every flash of lightning, follows rules as old as the earth itself.
Storms are born where warmth and coolness collide. They rise like towers, built by the upward rush of air, fed by moisture and energy. Within, droplets swirl, collide, and grow, creating electricity that crackles as lightning. The roll of thunder is the sound of air expanding rapidly with heat, echoing the immense forces at play. And yet, storms also carry balance. After their energy is released, the air feels cooler, calmer, washed clean, as though the earth has exhaled a long-held breath. Even the most fearsome storms, hurricanes that swirl across oceans or blizzards that veil the land, follow patterns, spirals, flows, cycles that scientists study to predict and understand. To us, they may feel like sudden outbursts, but to the atmosphere, they are part of an ancient rhythm, repeating endlessly, each one connected to the great story of the Earth's climate. Have you ever wondered why storms sometimes form in one region but never in another, or why hurricanes spin in opposite directions in the northern and southern hemispheres? These mysteries reveal the deep influence of Earth's rotation, its oceans, and the hidden order within seeming chaos. Now, let us step back and see the larger picture, the way land, water, and atmosphere speak to one another in constant dialogue. The Earth is not a passive stage for weather, it is an active participant. The warmth of deserts, the cool breath of oceans, the rise of mountains, and the spread of forests all shape the weather in profound and quiet ways. Mountains lift air, cooling it into clouds and rain on one side, while leaving dry shadows on the other. Forests release moisture, exhaling tiny droplets that rise into the sky and form clouds. Oceans store the sun's warmth, releasing it slowly, creating currents of air and water that ripple across the globe. Even the smallest details, the shimmer of a lake, the dryness of soil, the expanse of ice, all feed into the greater system, influencing winds, storms, and rainfall. This conversation is delicate, ongoing, and essential. Without oceans, there would be no great currents to balance the climate.
Without forests, the rhythm of rain would falter. Without mountains, winds would move differently, and deserts and fertile valleys would not exist as they do. Everything is intertwined. Everything depends on everything else. Weather is not just air moving above us. It is the earth breathing, responding, and singing in harmony with the sun and sky. Have you ever wondered why coastal regions feel more temperate, while deserts swing from burning heat to icy nights? Or why mountains can summon rain on one side, yet hold arid silence on the other? These are the Earth's quiet answers to the atmosphere, whispered in patterns we are only beginning to understand. Close your eyes for a moment and imagine the slow turning of the Earth as it circles the sun. This tilt, this quiet lean of our planet, is what gives birth to the seasons. Without it, there would be no winter snow or summer warmth, no blossoming springs or golden autumns. The Earth's tilt is a small detail with immense consequence, shaping weather, rhythm, and life itself. When one hemisphere tilts toward the sun, its days grow longer, its warmth more abundant. Flowers open, rivers swell, and air currents shift to carry the new energy across continents.
Meanwhile, the opposite hemisphere leans away, its days growing shorter, its nights longer, and the air cooler. Here, snow gathers, ice deepens, and the sky's palette becomes one of softer, muted tones. Seasons are not only changes in temperature, they are great migrations of energy. Winds alter their paths, clouds change their forms, and entire ecosystems respond. The swallows fly south, the trees let go of their leaves, and beneath the soil, seeds rest in patient silence, waiting for the warmth to return. The cycle of the seasons is ancient, older than any memory, yet still it surprises us. The first frost, the first blossoms, the lengthening of days. Each season has its own breath, its own voice in the great chorus of weather, whispering of the balance between light, shadow, warmth, and cold. Have you ever wondered why spring seems to arrive early some years, or why winters grow harsher or milder over decades? These changes are more than chance. They are the subtle shifts of Earth's dance with the sun, woven together with the larger rhythms of climate. Now let us step back even farther, beyond a single season, beyond a single storm, and see the Earth as a whole. From space, the atmosphere reveals vast, swirling patterns. Jet streams stretching like ribbons across continents, trade winds circling the equator, monsoons rising and falling with the tilt of the year. These are not random. They are the great highways of the sky, sculpted by the Earth's rotation, its shape, and its endless motion. The equator, bathed in constant sunlight, becomes the engine of rising warmth. Air climbs there, spilling outward and downward, creating belts of rainforests, deserts, and winds that circle the globe. Near the poles, cold air sinks, heavy and still, shaping icy landscapes and directing currents back toward the middle latitudes. Between these zones, great rivers of air, the jet streams, race at astonishing speeds, carrying weather systems with them. And then there are the monsoons, vast breaths of the earth itself, shifting with the seasons, bringing torrents of rain to some regions, while leaving others dry and waiting. These global patterns connect every place on Earth. A storm in the Pacific can ripple outward, influencing winds in faraway lands. Dust lifted from the Sahara can cross oceans, feeding forests on another continent. The weather you feel at your window is not isolated. It is the child of global movements, born of vast interconnected patterns, reaching across the planet with gentle persistence. Have you ever wondered how a storm in one part of the world can ripple outward and shape weather thousands of miles away? Or why deserts and rainforests often sit side by side in bands around the globe? These questions revealed the hidden order beneath the seeming chaos of weather. If the atmosphere is the voice of weather, then the oceans are its steady, resonant drum. Covering more than 2/3 of our planet, oceans store the warmth of the sun, releasing it slowly, patiently, shaping winds, storms, and even the rhythm of seasons. They are not passive waters. They are living systems that guide the atmosphere, carrying memory in their currents and heat in their waves. Picture the surface of the sea, shimmering under the sun. Warmth seeps into it, spreading slowly downward, carried by tides and currents. That warmth does not stay still. It travels. The Gulf Stream, for example, carries heat from the tropics to northern lands, softening winters and shaping entire climates. Without it, regions now lush and temperate would be locked in ice. The equator, bathed in constant sunlight, becomes the engine of rising warmth. Air climbs there, spilling outward and downward, creating belts of rainforests, deserts, and winds that circle the globe. Near the poles, cold air sinks, heavy and still, shaping icy landscapes and directing currents back toward the middle latitudes. Between these zones, great rivers of air, the jet streams, race at astonishing speeds, carrying weather systems with them. And then there are the monsoons, vast breaths of the earth itself, shifting with the seasons, bringing torrents of rain to some regions, while leaving others dry and waiting. These global patterns connect every place on Earth. A storm in the Pacific can ripple outward, influencing winds in faraway lands. Dust lifted from the Sahara can cross oceans, feeding forests on another continent. The weather you feel at your window is not isolated. It is the child of global movements, born of vast interconnected patterns, reaching across the planet with gentle persistence. Have you ever wondered how a storm in one part of the world can ripple outward and shape weather thousands of miles away? Or why deserts and rainforests often sit side by side in bands around the globe? These questions revealed the hidden order beneath the seeming chaos of weather. If the atmosphere is the voice of weather, then the oceans are its steady, resonant drum. Covering more than 2/3 of our planet, oceans store the warmth of the sun, releasing it slowly, patiently, shaping winds, storms, and even the rhythm of seasons. They are not passive waters. They are living systems that guide the atmosphere, carrying memory in their currents and heat in their waves. Picture the surface of the sea, shimmering under the sun. Warmth seeps into it, spreading slowly downward, carried by tides and currents. That warmth does not stay still. It travels. The Gulf Stream, for example, carries heat from the tropics to northern lands, softening winters and shaping entire climates. Without it, regions now lush and temperate would be locked in ice.
But oceans do more than transport heat. They breathe moisture into the air, feeding clouds and rain. They guide monsoons, hurricanes, and storms, fueling them with energy. And in their depths, hidden currents circulate like arteries, slowly redistributing heat across centuries, influencing weather in ways we are only beginning to understand. The relationship between ocean and sky is a partnership, a conversation as old as Earth itself. Winds stir the surface, waves respond, clouds rise, rain falls, and the cycle continues, endlessly. Each storm that forms above the sea, each gentle breeze that carries salt inland, is part of this eternal dialogue. Have you ever wondered why coastal regions feel milder, or why storms grow so powerful over oceans but weaken over land? The answers lie in the ocean's quiet hand, shaping the very breath of the sky. Far above the clouds where airplanes roam, there is a restless river, a current of air that flows not on land or sea, but in the sky itself. This river has no banks, no pebbled bottom, no glittering surface, and yet it carries more power than any earthly stream, shaping the weather of entire continents. We call it the jet stream. Imagine a ribbon of wind stretched thin across the planet, circling the globe like a silver thread. It is narrow, but fast, sometimes rushing faster than a storm, weaving eastward in a looping dance. These jet streams are born from contrast, the meeting place of warm tropical air and the cold, stern breath of the poles. Where these two titans collide, a river forms, invisible but immense. The jet stream is moody. It doesn't flow in a straight line. It bends, dips, and sways like a sleepy serpent lazily undulating across the sky. Sometimes it arches northward, carrying warmth to places that should still be cold. Sometimes it plunges southward, delivering icy chills to lands expecting gentle breezes. Its moods ripple down to us, becoming heat waves, sudden frosts, or the curious twists of storms. You might wonder, does the jet stream ever rest? Not really. It shifts with the seasons, moving like a wandering musician who never settles, always improvising. In summer, it drifts farther north. In winter, it sinks south, bringing its restless breath closer to daily life. Without it, the weather would lose its drama, its surprises, its sudden, sharp turns. And so, as you sleep tonight, think of the jet stream, a high, hidden river in the sky, endlessly shaping the moods of the world below. Beneath the sky, another storyteller lives. The ocean. Its voice is quieter, slower, more patient than the winds. But when it speaks, the whole planet listens. The ocean breathes heat into the air, cradles storms, and sometimes it shifts its patterns in ways so vast they touch every shore. This is the tale of El Niño and La Niña, two siblings in an eternal cycle, whispering back and forth across the Pacific. El Niño is the warm brother. Every few years, he stirs the waters of the eastern Pacific, lifting warmth to the surface. With this warmth comes change. rains where there should be dryness, drought where there should be floods, winters that feel strangely mild, and summers that carry unfamiliar storms. His presence is like a sudden mood swing in the ocean's great heart. La Niña, his cool sister, arrives in turn. She spreads colder waters across the same ocean, sharpening the winds and intensifying the push of storms. Where El Niño softens, she sharpens. Where he warms, she cools. Together they form a rhythm, a pendulum, a slow inhale and exhale of the sea. But their whispers don't stay in the Pacific. They wander outward, touching Africa, Asia, the Americas. Farmers feel their effects in the soil. Fishermen notice them in the catch of the day. Even children, playing in backyards half a world away, are unknowingly touched by the moods of these watery siblings. It is a reminder that Earth is one great woven system. The sigh of the ocean in one place can become a thunderstorm in another. The tilt of temperature in the sea can ripple across deserts, forests, and farmlands. Everything is connected, as if the planet itself dreams in cycles, sometimes warm, sometimes cool, but always alive. When you look at the sky, it may seem like weather is fleeting, a passing storm, a temporary breeze, a momentary sunbeam. But weather remembers. Like the mind, the atmosphere carries impressions of what came before, shaping what comes next. A storm that travels across the Atlantic leaves trails of altered pressure, invisible fingerprints in the air that guide new storms to follow. A warm spell in winter can shift the mood of soil, rivers, and forests, nudging spring to arrive earlier or later. Even the gentle mist you see rising from morning grass holds the memory of yesterday's warmth and last night's cool silence. In science, this is sometimes called persistence, the way weather patterns linger. A high-pressure dome can sit for days, weeks even, deciding the fate of crops and rivers below. A series of storms can carve a rhythm into the sky, echoing until the atmosphere shifts. But weather's memory is not just local. On the grand stage of the planet, snowpacks in the Himalayas influence the monsoon. Ice melting in the Arctic changes winds thousands of miles away. Forest fires in one hemisphere seed strange skies in another. The Earth is like a storyteller who never forgets. Each event adds a new line, each day a new sentence, each year a new chapter. And so when you see the rainfall, remember, it is not random. It is part of a memory, an echo of yesterday, a whisper of tomorrow. Weather, like us, carries its past into its future, endlessly remembering, endlessly becoming. Have you ever watched a sky filled with drifting clouds, each one with its own shape, size, and rhythm? Some are small and cotton-like, floating lazily. Others tower into grand cathedrals of vapor, hinting at thunder and rain. To us, they may look like simple patterns, but in truth, clouds are always in quiet conversation with the air around them. Clouds form when warm air rises, carrying with it invisible water vapor. As it ascends, the air cools, and the vapor condenses into tiny droplets or ice crystals. One droplet joins another, millions gathering in delicate clusters. Together they become a cloud, a floating city made not of stone, but of shimmering particles of water. But here is the wonder. Clouds are not just passive ornaments in the sky. They reflect sunlight back into space, keeping Earth cool. They trap heat at night, keeping us warm. They guide the water cycle, deciding when and where to release their burden as rain or snow. And yet they are unpredictable, shifting, changing, evolving before our eyes. That is why no two skies are ever the same. Each morning the clouds tell a new story. Each evening they whisper their farewells in shades of crimson and gold. Perhaps tonight, as you rest, you might imagine clouds as gentle librarians of the sky,
keeping Earth's secrets and deciding when to share them. They are memory keepers of water, drifting between states of being, vapor, droplet, ice, just as we too drift between thoughts, dreams, and awakenings. If clouds are the sky's quiet conversations, then storms are its great outbursts, the moments when the atmosphere raises its voice. Storms are not born from chaos alone. They arise from imbalance. Warm air surges upward, cold air presses downward. Moisture gathers in great abundance. Together, they weave a tapestry of tension. Thunderstorms, for example, begin when towering cumulonimbus clouds stretch high into the sky, sometimes reaching altitudes of 40,000 feet. Within them, droplets crash together, colliding with ice crystals. Charges of electricity build, separating into positive and negative layers. And then, lightning, a sudden spark, hotter than the surface of the sun, tearing through the sky. We often think of storms as destructive, and yes, they can be fierce, bringing floods, winds, and fear. But they are also deeply necessary. Storms stir the air, redistribute heat, and return water to thirsty soils. They clear the atmosphere, scrubbing it of dust and pollutants. Even hurricanes, massive and daunting, are not villains of nature, but vast balancing acts, moving heat from the tropics to cooler latitudes. There is something humbling about this. The very weather we sometimes dread is part of Earth's healing, part of its great circulation system. Like the pounding of a heartbeat, storms are not interruptions, they are proof that the planet is alive, restless, and endlessly adapting. As you drift into thought, you may imagine storms not as enemies, but as fierce guardians of balance, the sky reminding itself and us that equilibrium must be kept. When we step back and look at weather not as scattered events, but as a whole, something beautiful becomes clear. Weather is the Earth's pulse. Just as blood flows through veins, air flows through the atmosphere. Just as the heart beats to keep us alive, storms and winds surge to keep the planet in motion. Weather is not random. It is the visible rhythm of Earth trying to balance itself. Too much heat in one place, winds rush to share it. Too much water in the air, clouds gather, then release it. Too much pressure, the atmosphere shifts until harmony returns.
In this sense, we live within a breathing, pulsing being. The air is its breath. The oceans are its blood. The storms are its strong heartbeats. And we, small and fragile as we sometimes feel, are carried within this vast system, as if resting in the chest of a giant that has been alive for billions of years. Perhaps that is why watching the weather feels so soothing. When we listen to rain tapping on the window or wind singing through the trees, we are listening to Earth's steady rhythm, a rhythm that tells us the world is alive and we are safe within it. Imagine, if you will, a sheet of glass so wide that it seems to stretch forever. That is the ocean, a mirror reflecting the moods of the sky. Sometimes it lies still, a gentle cradle for moonlight. Other times, it rages, tossing itself against the winds that push and pull upon its skin. The ocean does not merely reflect the weather, it shapes it. Warm waters rise and feed the air, filling it with invisible rivers of moisture. These streams drift unseen until they gather, condense, and fall back to Earth as rain. A single raindrop, born of this vast mirror, might have spent weeks or months traveling through the endless cycle of evaporation and return. This dance between sea and sky is what powers hurricanes, monsoons, and the life-giving rains that feed crops and forests. The ocean is not silent. It whispers, in ripples and tides, in storms and soft rains, in the salt carried on sea breezes. And if you listen carefully, you might hear the great heartbeat of the water world, steady, eternal, guiding weather across every shore. When we step outside, we see the results of weather, the clouds drifting overhead, the sunlight warming our faces, the drizzle soaking the earth. But hidden behind these visible forms are sculptures too small for the eye to notice. Tiny particles, dust, pollen, ash, even the salt of sea spray become seeds for raindrops. Without them, clouds would not form. A single grain of desert dust can travel thousands of miles, carried by winds, and become the center of a snowflake in another corner of the world. Volcanoes, when they erupt, can send ash so high into the atmosphere that it dims sunlight for years. The eruption of Mount Tambora in 1815, for instance, filled the skies with so much ash that the following year was known as the year without a summer. Crops failed, temperatures dropped, and human history itself was bent by the invisible hand of ash in the air. Think of it, the sneeze of a volcano, the stirring of dust in a faraway desert, the bloom of plankton in the sea. Each of these can shift the moods of the sky. The weather we feel on our skin is the work of countless invisible sculptors, weaving and shaping in silence.
Most of the time, weather moves in harmony, keeping its balance across oceans and continents. But sometimes that balance is broken. The sky forgets its rhythm. Consider drought, the silence of rain. Whole landscapes wait, thirsty, while the sun beats down day after day. Rivers shrink, soil cracks, trees surrender their leaves. It feels as though the sky itself has turned away, refusing to offer its gift of water. Then there are floods, the opposite silence, when too much water comes at once. Rivers swell, pushing beyond their banks, swallowing fields and homes. The rain that seemed so gentle suddenly becomes overwhelming, a reminder of the sky's untamed power. And in between, storms rise, hurricanes, typhoons, blizzards. They are not simply random events. They are the atmosphere's way of releasing built-up energy, like a sigh too deep for words. In these moments, we see how fragile balance is, and how much our lives depend on the sky remembering its rhythm. But we also see resilience, seeds that wait in the dust until the rains return, rivers that carve new paths, humans who adapt, rebuild, and learn. Imagine the ocean at dawn, quiet, silver blue, stretching endlessly. The surface shimmers like polished glass, and above it the sky begins to blush with light. What we often forget is how deeply the ocean and the sky are connected, two mirrors breathing in rhythm. When the sun warms the waters, a dance begins. Tiny droplets rise invisibly, carried upward to become the clouds that will later return as rain. The sea exhales into the sky, and the sky, in time, exhales back into the sea. This great circular exchange is called the water cycle. Yet when you pause and look closely, it feels more like poetry than science. The very rain that feeds rivers, fills lakes, and nourishes forests is ocean breath drifted across the world. Each cloud you see is not separate, but part of an ancient dialogue between water and wind, a conversation that has been spoken for billions of years. So next time you hear rain tapping gently on your window, imagine that it once swayed in the deep belly of the sea, before lifting into the sky's embrace. You are listening to the ocean's memory, falling back to earth. While clouds are the visible artists of the sky, the architects of weather often move unseen. These are the currents of air, the whispering rivers that flow high above us, carrying storms across continents and sculpting the climates we call home. Take the jet stream, for instance, a fast-moving ribbon of air that snakes around the globe 9 miles above the ground. It is invisible to our eyes, yet it bends and shapes entire weather systems. A small shift in its path can mean gentle spring showers in one place and furious blizzards in another. But there are deeper currents too. the great circulations of the atmosphere driven by the sun's warmth and the Earth's rotation. Warm air rises near the equator, travels high, and sinks near the poles. Cold air sinks and returns. This immense breathing pattern, called the Hadley, Ferrel, and polar cells, is the hidden scaffolding of the climate. To imagine them, think of three great belts of air stacked above and below the equator, endlessly turning, endlessly shifting. These belts are why deserts form where they do, why tropical rainforests thrive along the equator, and why winds always seem to arrive from familiar directions. Though unseen, these invisible rivers of air are what make the difference between a gentle breeze brushing your cheek and the mighty roar of a hurricane. They are the secret hand drawing the patterns of our skies. Pause for a moment and imagine the sun not as a distant ball of fire, but as a great storyteller. Every sunrise and every sunset is a new sentence in a tale that has no ending. And weather? Weather is simply the earth remembering what the sun has written.
The warmth of sunlight is uneven, striking oceans differently from continents, mountains differently from valleys. These differences spark movement, winds, currents, storms, clouds. The planet adjusts, redistributes, rebalances. In this way, weather is the Earth's way of keeping memory of the sun's touch. Think about it. When you feel a breeze on your face, it is not just air moving. It is yesterday's sunlight being carried across the land. When rain falls into your palm, you are holding water that once rose from an ocean under the sun's gaze. Every snowflake, every fog, every thunderstorm is a note in the great diary of the sun. Without the sun, the sky would fall silent, forever still. It is only because of light, heat, and energy that the air stirs, that clouds gather, that weather lives. To sleep under the stars is, in truth, to sleep beneath the breath of sunlight, turned into whispers of wind and rain. And so, dear dreamer, we arrive at the quiet end of our journey. We have drifted with winds, walked among clouds, touched the breath of oceans, and followed the hidden rivers of the sky. Together, we've seen how weather is not random chaos, but a rhythm, the Earth's own lullaby, composed of sunlight, air, and water. As you rest tonight, imagine yourself lying beneath an endless sky. High above, the jet stream flows like a silver ribbon, clouds drift slowly, and stars peek through the shifting veils. Perhaps far away, rain begins to fall, not as a storm, but as a soft percussion in the night. Feel how the world breathes around you. The same currents that carry storms across oceans also rock you gently in your sleep. The same cycles that shape forests and deserts also whisper lullabies against your window. The weather is always speaking, always singing. Tonight, let its quiet music carry you into rest. Drift into sleep knowing that you are part of this rhythm, a listener beneath the sky's unending song. Good night, dear traveler. The sky will keep its watch,